Hey everyone, I just thought I'd record a video for homeschooling specifically because I was homeschooled and I'm now just beginning the journey of homeschooling our kids. And so we picked a bunch of books here that are specific to homeschooling. So I'll just dig in here. So we start with one of the wipe clean books. This is farm activities. We have like many wipe cleans in Usborne, I think over 16. So there's lots of things here that kids can do that are working on educational principles. So connecting numbers, which works on their pencil grip, holding the pencil, following instructions on each page. And of course we can read them the story and they can interact following mazes. So there's lots of different ones. Some of them are more activity books, and then there's others that are specific to learning letters or tracing words, which are obviously great educationally as well. And I didn't want to leave out storybooks because we know that reading is so important in the early years for kids. So when I was picking my first Usborne collection, I definitely chose some storybooks just to read. So we have picture books. This is obviously part of the classics. So there are some classics retold that are just simplified into picture books for before bed reading or just curling up on the couch while you drink a coffee and read aloud some books. And then also in the picture books, there's some that are more narrated fiction stories. So this is about Pipkin the penguin and How High is the Sky. So there's a few of those ones. And then this is another Pipkin the penguin one, but this one is hardcover, padded hardcover, and also very fun and lots of illustrations. So that's the picture books section. Then we of course have the peep inside, look inside, see inside. Sorry, here's one of the peep inside. So peep inside the farm for 2 and 3 year olds. Lots of different lift the flaps here and interactions within all of the pages here. So that is for peep insides. My favorite part about this one is it's the farm one, and it ends with a farm shop where we have all of the things that you can buy that were made or grown on a farm. So I think that's super fun for them to kind of begin to understand that. So that's for younger homeschooling kids. As we get older, look inside building sites, which is more for 4 and 5 year olds. And this one has, of course, lots of lift the flaps. This one is specific to building sites, but there are many different look insides, and there's flaps all the way throughout it that the kids can lift up and interact with. Lots and lots of materials there. Then we have See Inside, which is kind of for 6 years plus, we say, but really there's so much content that it can even go beyond that. So again, lots of flaps and interactions. Here, they're hard to see here, but there's some flaps here and here and here. Coral reef, tuna fishing, lots of different ones there. So that's See Inside, over 80 flaps, there you go. Then we have Lift the Flap question and answers about space. So I just have 2 of them here. There's lots of questions and answers ones, but which, why, where, who, lots of different questions to be discovered here. So all just good resources for inspiring learning in kids and self-directed learning, right? These may answer some questions, or it may bring up more questions for them that are like, well, let's look into that. Let's see what we know about that. So that's some more questions and answers. My very first Our World book is just a book with an overview about different things in the world, planet Earth, changing seasons. So yeah, again, just scratches the surface of lots of different topics, but allows us to dig more into these potentially as we develop our homeschooling kind of plan or goals or curriculum for our kids for the year. So lots there. And then I have one of the atlases. Usborne has a bunch, but this is Usborne My First Atlas. So I'm excited for this one for my kids because it just exposes them in little ways to different cultures, maps, and hemispheres and climate in these places, forest homes, places for living, and then on to the next continent or country. I think this one's mostly divided by continent, so it's our first atlas. Then we have an encyclopedia series. So this is the first encyclopedia of science. So I'm just excited to have these because I feel like you go on a nature walk, you come home with questions. What about seasons? Why do the trees change color? What is north and south? And sometimes you can't quite make it to the library yet, or that kind of feels daunting, but you can just pull this up and at least have a couple pages to overview and scratch the surface there. Along those same lines, we have the whole beginner series. So there are over 60 of these books, but what I love about them is that they just kind of go into one subject kind of in depth. So for example, trees, you go for a nature walk, you come home. We just went for one and came home with lots of questions about leaves and trees, and you just kind of have like it all in one place to reference and look through these specifically, learn a little bit more about these kind of this environment. And then we have the big book series. So this is Big Book of Stars and Planets, but this one has some fold outs where you can see the whole extent of the planets goes wide. And we have a bunch more books in the Big Book series. So I think there's 4 lengthy fold outs in this one. And then the last one I wanted to talk about is the illustrated original series. These are illustrated classics, but it's a much longer series for read aloud, probably depending on how old your kids are. But there's a bunch of beautiful, I missed one, beautiful illustrations in here, in between the longer sections of listening for the kids. So that's my overview of some of the first books I picked for homeschooling through the years, and I hope you take a look at all the many other options there are.